Hello there, my precious ones, it's Nana Rose, and today I've brought you a story that touched me deeper than I can explain. Now, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. Picture the icy wind of New York City, sweeping through the streets, carrying the sound of a lonely saxophone. But this isn't coming from a concert hall, no, it's coming from a boy named Benício. He's only 14, standing at the entrance of a subway station, clutching a worn-out saxophone. Every note he plays, it's not just music. It's a cry, a memory, a dream. Behind those melodies, there's a mother working 2 jobs just to keep food on the table, a father drowning in silence and sorrow, a sister who sees beauty through a camera, even when life is falling apart. But then, something happens. Something small yet powerful. A hidden sheet of music. A spark of courage. A moment that changes everything. This is not just a story about poverty. It's not just about struggle. It's about love, resilience, and the fire inside one boy's heart to bring his family back from the edge. So grab a cozy blanket, pour yourself some tea, and let me tell you the story of Benício, the boy with a saxophone and a dream. You won't believe how far one melody can travel.
The cold New York wind whipped through the streets, carrying with it the distant sound of a saxophone. It wasn't a famous concert, but the melody of a boy named Benício playing at the entrance of the subway. His nimble fingers danced across the keys, each note expressing his family's silent struggle. They lived in a small apartment where hope was as scarce as money. His mother, a resilient woman named Aurora, worked tirelessly at 2 jobs to support the household. His father, a once strong man named Raul, battled depression and a lack of opportunity. His older sister, Luisa, a young woman with a talent for photography, saw life through her lens, capturing beauty amidst the harsh reality. Benício, with his 14 years and his battered saxophone, was the heart of the family, the spark of hope in the darkness. He played not for money but to express his feelings, the pain, the longing, and the faith that one day things would get better. That boy, with his determined gaze and passionate music, was about to embark on a journey that would change not only his life, but the destiny of everyone he loved. With each melody, he defied fate, building a path to the light amidst the shadows of poverty. His music was a cry of hope, a call to action, a promise of a better future. New York, with its towering skyscrapers and frenetic streets, was a stark contrast to the reality of Benício's family. Their apartment, a cramped and dimly lit space in a forgotten neighborhood, was the home where the struggle for survival unfolded daily. Aurora, the mother, had immigrated to the United States in search of a better life, but reality had confronted her with hardships she had never imagined. She worked tirelessly, but the money barely covered basic expenses. Raul, the father, a formerly talented musician, had lost hope after an accident that made it impossible for him to work. Depression had consumed him, and he isolated himself more and more from the family. Luisa, the sister, with her camera always at hand, tried to capture the beauty amidst the chaos. She dreamed of becoming a professional photographer, but financial difficulties prevented her from pursuing her dreams. She felt responsible for helping the family and often sacrificed her own desires to ensure that her parents and brother had the bare necessities. Benício, with his saxophone, was the link that united the family. He had learned to play from his father before the accident, and music became his way of expressing his emotions and keeping hope alive. He played on the streets not just for money, but to bring joy and hope to people and to show that even in the midst of poverty, beauty could still flourish. The situation worsened when Aurora lost her job. Eviction from their residence became imminent, and the family found themselves on the verge of despair. Benício, while rummaging through an old trunk, found his father's sheet music, revealing a dormant musical talent and a past of success. Raul, tormented by guilt, confessed to abandoning his career for fear of failure, a secret that shook the family. Benício, with the sheet music in hand, saw it as the key to changing everyone's fate, a melody that could bring back hope and family unity. Benício decided to use his father's musical talent as a trump card. His goal was to rescue the family from poverty, and the sheet music he found was the key. He convinced Raul to rehearse again, but his father's depression was an obstacle. Luisa, inspired by her brother's determination, began photographing the rehearsals, creating a portfolio to promote Raúl's talent. Aurora, despite her exhaustion, supported her children, seeing music as a new hope. The first challenge was finding a place to perform. Music venues refused to give a chance to an unknown and so young musician. Benício then had the idea of playing in squares and parks, attracting people's attention with his father's melody. Gradually, a small audience began to form, but the money raised was still insufficient. Luisa, with her photos, tried to publicize the family's story on social media, but the lack of financial resources was a major obstacle. The family felt frustrated, but Benicio's determination prevented them from giving up. They knew the journey would be difficult, but they were willing to fight together and never give up. The family's situation worsened drastically when a fire struck their apartment, destroying their few belongings and, most importantly, Raúl's original sheet music. The incident was not just a material loss, but a blow to the hope they were building. The father, Raúl, who was already struggling with depression, found himself plunged back into the abyss of despair, feeling guilty for the loss of the sheet music, which he considered his only legacy. The family found themselves homeless, without resources, and without the music that united them. That fire, seemingly accidental, became the catalyst for action. Benício, with his peculiar determination, refused to give up. He saw in the fire not the end, but a new beginning. He knew he needed to act quickly to rescue the family's hope, and to do that, he would need to use all his courage and creativity. That incident, as tragic as it was, became the turning point in the family's story, the moment when they would need to show what they were capable of. After the fire, the family found temporary shelter in a community shelter, a cold and impersonal place. The loss of the sheet music was a hard blow, but the boy Benício refused to let hope die. He remembered the melodies his father played and began transcribing them from memory, an arduous process that required a lot of concentration and patience. Luisa, with her camera, documented the family's struggle, seeking inspiration amidst adversity. A new character appeared in the family's life, an old street musician named Vicente who had known Raúl in the past. Vicente, seeing Benicio's talent, decided to help him rebuild the sheet music and improve his saxophone technique. He became a mentor to Benício, sharing his wisdom and his passion for music. The relationship between Benício and Vicente was a spark of hope in the darkness, proof that goodness still existed in the world. Meanwhile, the mother Aurora desperately sought a new job, facing discrimination and lack of opportunity. She felt overwhelmed by the responsibility of supporting the family but refused to give up. Raúl, despite his depression, began to feel inspired by his son's determination and slowly began to recover his passion for music. The family, united by adversity, became stronger than ever, determined to overcome any obstacle that came their way. The family's struggle to rebuild the sheet music intensified, with Benício spending sleepless nights trying to decipher the melodies in his memory. The pressure increased as the time to pay the shelter rent was running out. Luisa, while trying to publicize the family's story, discovered that a famous music producer named Ricardo had plagiarized one of Raúl's compositions in the past. This revelation created a new conflict, as the family found themselves facing the possibility of fighting for their rights. The relationship between Raúl and his new friend Vicente deepened, with the old musician sharing stories from his past and encouraging Raúl to resume his passion for music. However, Raúl's depression was still an obstacle and he felt insecure about his ability to perform again. Meanwhile, Aurora, while trying to get a job, found herself facing a tempting but morally questionable proposal which put her in a dilemma. Benício, with the help of Vicente, finally managed to rebuild most of his father's sheet music. Raúl, inspired by his son's dedication, overcame his fear and decided to perform at a small local bar. The performance was a success, and Raúl's music touched people's hearts, attracting the attention of a journalist who was present at the venue. The news about Raúl's talent and his family's struggle spread quickly, reaching the ears of Ricardo, the music producer who had plagiarized his music. Ricardo, seeing himself exposed, tried to buy the family's silence, offering a sum of money in exchange for waiving any legal action. Aurora, tempted by the need for money, almost accepted the offer, but Benício convinced her to fight for their rights. Luisa, with her photos, created a campaign on social media exposing the truth about the plagiarism and the family's struggle, mobilizing public opinion in their favor. The family, with the support of the community and the media, organized a benefit concert to raise funds and publicize the truth about Ricardo's plagiarism. Raul, with his music, moved the audience, and Benício, with his saxophone, complemented the presentation, showing the talent he had inherited from his father. Luisa, with her photos and videos, documented every moment, creating an impactful visual narrative. The community united around the family, showing that hope and solidarity could overcome any obstacle. Ricardo, seeing the mobilization around the family, tried to sabotage the concert, hiring people to create turmoil and defame Raul's image. However, the community, attentive to Ricardo's plans, thwarted his attempts, showing that the truth would always prevail. Vicente, with his wisdom and experience, helped Raul prepare for the final confrontation with Ricardo, encouraging him to use his music as a weapon of justice. The family, united by music and truth, prepared for the climax of the story, knowing that the future depended on their courage and determination. The eve of the benefit concert was marked by tensions and challenges. Raul, tormented by anxiety, almost gave up performing, but his son Benício convinced him to move forward, reminding him of the power of his music. Luisa, while reviewing the photos and videos, discovered irrefutable proof of Ricardo's plagiarism, which could be used in court. Aurora, upon receiving an anonymous call, discovered that Ricardo had hired an influential lawyer to prevent the family from winning the case. The family, feeling the pressure from all sides, gathered to devise a final strategy. Benício, with his wisdom and courage, proposed that they use Raul's music as evidence in court, showing that the truth would always prevail. Luisa, with her photos and videos, prepared to publicize the truth on social media, mobilizing public opinion in their favor. Aurora, with her strength and determination, prepared to face Ricardo's lawyer, showing that justice was on their side. The family, united by music and truth, prepared for the final confrontation, knowing that the future depended on their union and courage. On the day of the concert, the family performed with all their passion and talent. Raul, with his music, moved the audience, and Benício, with his saxophone, complemented the presentation, showing that music was the force that united them. Luisa, with her photos and videos, broadcast the presentation live, exposing the truth about Ricardo's plagiarism to the whole world. Ricardo, seeing his farce unmasked, tried to flee but was prevented by the community, who united to defend the family. In court, Raul presented his music as proof of plagiarism, and Luisa presented her photos and videos showing the truth about Ricardo's past. Ricardo's lawyer tried to discredit the family, but the community present in court spoke out in support of them, showing that justice was on their side. The judge, seeing the evidence and the public outcry, ruled in favor of the family, convicting Ricardo of plagiarism and forcing him to pay compensation. The family, united by music and truth, had won the battle, but the fight for a fairer world was not yet over. Benício's family, after winning in court, used the compensation to rebuild their lives. They moved to a larger house where Raul was able to set up his own music studio and Luisa her photography studio. Benício, with the support of his family, continued to play his saxophone, inspiring thousands of people with his music. Raul, overcoming his depression, became a recognized musician, using his art to defend the rights of the most vulnerable. The family's story became an example of overcoming adversity and hope for many people. They showed that poverty was not a destiny, but an obstacle that could be overcome with unity, courage, and talent. Benício, with his determination and his music, became a symbol of hope for children living in poverty, showing that their dreams could come true. Their story teaches us that music, family unity, and justice are the most powerful weapons to transform the world. Now, be inspired by the journey of Benício and his family and use your talents to build a better future.